Hi there Thunkers, and welcome to another video. In this video, we will be discussing stored variables and building a sign-in screen for your app. Let's get started. Let's compare stored variables to app variables. The first thing is that when we initialize an app variable, we can assign a value to it, whereas a stored variable is initialized with no value, so it has a null value. You can compare these blocks here. However, you can see that when we are updating the values of these two variables, the blocks look exactly the same. Now with an app variable, the updated value will not be saved between app sessions. However, with a stored variable, when you change the value, this updated value is saved between app sessions. So in this example, if we opened our app, updated the values, and then restarted our app variable would be reset to this initial value, but our stored variable would show us the new stored variable value. Now that we understand the difference between stored variables and app variables, let's get started with this sign-in screen. We'll build a sign-in screen that will save the user's details for when they next log in. Let's start by building a sign-up screen for our app. We'll let the user type in their email address and type in a new password. We'll put in 2 text inputs for entering their new password to confirm the new password. We only want the user to confirm their password if they're signing up for the first time. So let's put the confirm password label and text input into a group so that we can show this group when the user is signing up, but then hide it if the user is only signing in. And because we're building this app to demonstrate the use of stored variables, let's give the user the option to save their login details and a switch. And then we'll add a button that will say sign up if the user is signing up, or sign in if the user is signing in. So we will name it sign up or in. And then we'll make another button that says sign in instead. And of course, when the user is signing in, this button will say sign up instead. We'll name this button swap since it will allow us to swap between signing up or signing in. Now we'll just make sure that the secure text entry property of these password input boxes is set to true so that the user does not see their password in plain text as they're typing it in. Now let's go to the blocks. So if we're allowing the user to either sign up or sign in, let's start by creating an app variable called currently signing up. We'll initialize this to true as we initially show the sign up screen in our project. When we click on swap, we will invert the value of currently signing up by setting its value to not whatever its current value is. Then we'll say that if currently signing up is true, let's take another look at our screen. We will want to show our group that contains our confirm password label and text input. We'll want our main button to say sign up, and we'll want our swap button to say sign in instead. And of course, if currently signing up is false, if the user is currently signing in, then we'll simply say the opposite. We will hide our group with the confirm password details. We'll set our sign up or sign in button to say sign in, and our swap button will allow the user to sign up instead. And we can quickly test this out. So at first we see our sign up screen, and when we click sign in instead, we see a sign in screen. And if we click sign up instead, we swap back to that sign up screen. Now let's define sign up and sign in functions for our project. We'll start with a sign up function. We can grab the sign up block from our sign in drawer, and we're actually going to use the advanced version of all of these blocks so that if there's an error, we can show the error message. Let's quickly go to the Design tab and create an error label so that if there is an issue, we can print that error message in our project. Now we've got 2 password inputs on our sign up screen, so let's start by saying that if these passwords do not match, then we will not sign the user up, and instead we will show them a message saying that the passwords must match. Then if their passwords do match, we'll go ahead and sign them up using the email from the email text input, and the password from either one of the text inputs since we know they'll match, but I'm going to go ahead and grab it from password text input 1. And of course, if there's an error with signing them up, we will print that error on our error label. Now let's address storing those sign-in details. We'll create 2 stored variables and call them email and password. We'll say that if the value of the switch on our sign-up screen is true, the one that asked if we should save these login details, then we will save our stored variable email as the email that the user gave, and we'll save our stored variable password as the password that the user gave. Otherwise, so if the user has set this switch to false, we will set stored variables email and password to null again. One more thing about our sign up function is that Firebase will actually send a confirmation email to the user, so if they sign up successfully, we will show them a message asking them to check their email address to complete the sign up process. And once we've got these stored variables, email and password, we may as well use them. So we'll say that when screen 1 opens, if the user has saved sign-in details, so if email is not null and password is not null, then we will show them the sign-in screen and we will pre-fill the email and password text inputs with the stored email and password. An easy way to do that is to say that if email is not null and password is not null, then we will set our app variable currently signing up to false, which means it will be currently signing in. And then we'll just grab this if-else block from our when swap click block and call it whenever app variable signing up initializes or changes. This means that whenever this variable is changed, whether because we are clicking the swap button or because this when screen opens blocks have been executed, the appropriate sign up or sign in screen will be shown to the user. And like I mentioned, when screen 1 opens, we'll just pre-populate the email and password text input boxes with the user stored details. Now let's create a sign-in function. So just like before, our main block here will be the sign-in block that we find in the sign-in drawer of blocks, and this one actually comes as the advanced block as you take it out of the drawer. Of course, we sign in the user with the email and password from the 2 text inputs. And you can see that we have 3 output blocks. We have our usual error block, we have a block to see if the user email is verified, and we also have a user ID block. Of course, we will start by saying that if there is an error, we will print that error. Otherwise, if there's no error, but the user hasn't verified their email address, we will show them a message asking them to verify their email address. And then if there's no error and the user has verified their email address, then they'll successfully sign in. So just like before, we'll say that if they had that switch set to true to save their login details, we will save the email and the password as our stored variables, email and password. And just like before, if the switch is set to false and the user does not want their login details saved, then we'll make sure that email and password are set to null. And then I'm sorry for not capturing footage of initializing these app variables, but we have an app variable called session email, which we will use to just save this user's email address for the app session. And then we also have an app variable called user ID, which we will use to save the user ID from this sign-in block. Once you've done that, you can just bring the user to whatever screen of your app you want. In my case, we're just going to go to screen 2. So now that we have a sign up function and a sign in function, we'll say that when we click sign up or in, if currently signing up is true, then we'll call our sign up function. And if currently signing up is false, so we're signing in, then we'll call our sign in function. Now let's take a look at screen 2. Of course, in your project, you will have some content once the user has signed in, but for now, I'm just going to put in a little label that says, this is my app. On this screen, I'm just going to demonstrate the remaining blocks from the sign-in drawer for you, which are the sign out block and the reset password block. So I will create a sign out button called sign out, and I will add the same kind of error output label that we saw on our sign up and sign in screen. And then in the blocks, we will simply say that when sign out is clicked, we will sign the user out. And of course, I'll use the advanced block so that if there is an error, I can show the error message in my label. And if there's no error, so if we sign out successfully, we'll just bring the user back to our sign-in screen, which for me is screen 1. And then we'll create a reset password button. Its text will say reset password, we'll name it reset. And when reset is clicked, we'll use the reset password block. Again, we'll use the advanced block. If there's an error, we'll print the error. And this is why we saved the user email address as a variable earlier, so that if they do want to reset their password, a password reset email can be sent to the correct address. So if there's no error when we call our reset password function and a password reset email has been sent to the user, then we'll let them know that a password reset email has been sent to the address that they signed in with. And of course, if you are adding Firebase signing capabilities to your app, make sure it is connected to your own Firebase real-time database. You can see where to enter your Firebase API key and database URL right here in your project settings, and you can find more information about creating a Firebase database and connecting it to your Thunkable project in our docs. We'll include a link to these docs and of course to the app itself in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and as ever, thanks for thunking.